Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. Most of you know that I am a proponent of silver as being a hedge or an insurance policy, a way to protect yourself in times of economic crisis. Although I do recognize the duality of silver as both being money and a commodity. And so with that being said, people do invest in commodities. However, as most of you know, I've always said on this channel that I believe that silver is more of a hedge and not an investment. I'm very careful with the language there. And I've also come to find some folks that have some disagreements with me about that particular nature. And in explaining my situation as to why I feel that silver is not an investment, I also recognize that there are ways that you can, in fact, invest using silver. That's right. Silver can become the catalyst from which you invest. And these pieces that you see before you here are just one example of some ways that you can capitalize on silver as an investment. Let me explain. You see, silver in and of itself doesn't pay dividends. Like gold, it exists and it has existed in its state and form for millennia or more. But the thing is nowadays we have a lot of people out there who are accumulating the precious metal in various different forms. And silver, especially silver, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And these, what you see before you here, are modern examples of ways to accumulate silver and to be able to utilize the resources of it and to be able to capitalize on the popularity of some pieces over others. And there's examples of different kinds here. You know, you have pieces like this copy of a trade dollar here, which is a very beautifully done piece, but for all intents and purposes, it's just generic bullion. Same thing with the Fortitude round. You know, it's kind of a unique piece, but really, there's not much value in it other than maybe somebody likes it as a collectible piece. But, you know, other than that, you know, it's really just bullion. It's silver. And then there's other pieces out there that are a little bit better, have somewhat of a premium to them like these. And depending on the popularity and mintage and the timing, you can possibly flip them and perhaps make a little money on them. And that was sort of the case here with this dragon and phoenix round or coin here. And some of them have the errors in them. And if you have an error, one with a little variety, then you can possibly make a lot more with it. And that is the case also with this piece here, the leopard. This was an error piece, or actually is a variety as well. They accidentally put on here that it was 100 cedis instead of 5 cedis. So these tend to carry a bit more of a premium on them in the secondary market. And so if you acquired these, depending on the timing, you could have come out with a lot more on the other end if you time it right. That's an investment. And there are ways to be able to use silver in that manner. Because the metal that's inside of that coin is silver. You know, there's a myriad of different ways. And, you know, you can capitalize on the popularity of something and do well with it in the secondary market. And that is where the investment lies, is on the secondary market. And that's really true with all precious metals and all collectibles of any sort. It just so happens that silver happens to be a precious metal, and you're always protected by the intrinsic value therein. So when you have certain pieces that are beautiful, that may have a rare mintage, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be worth anything in the secondary market. It just depends on the demand of that product. And so that's kind of where you have to make your risk, because investments require risk. That's why I've always, and still to this day, don't believe that silver in and of itself is an investment, because really there's no risk to take, because you understand that when you purchase the metal for the intrinsic value, though the price may change from time to time, in the end you're going to be protected in the long run, because it's a long-term hold. It's a savings. The intrinsic value of silver. Now, the prices do fluctuate, especially with silver, and that's why I'm singling this metal out over gold, because there is a bit of price fluctuation, and you can use that to your advantage in a myriad of different ways, from trading the ratio. As I had reviewed a book a while ago by Carl Yashanka, Trade the Ratio. There's ways to do it using paper, silver, and ETF electronic funds. Or if you can time it right with an LCS or another entity that would be able to trade against gold or silver, you can utilize it in that manner, and that's a way that you can use it as an investment. But there's risk involved in that. So those are the kind of things you have to take into consideration. The metal in and of itself really is kind of inert in that way. It doesn't really produce dividends. But the designs and the price points, especially in electronic markets where there may not be as many margins at play, there's ways that you can make money in that regard, or lose money in that regard. More money than you would if you buy silver at a certain price point and then sell it when it's a lower price point. So all things to consider. But the reason why I don't like to consider the metal itself as an investment is because of the temptation to want to buy it and try to sell it at a certain time, or try to make money off of where the price moves. If the price jumps up $1, I'm going to sell it because I'm going to make $1. Well, more than likely you're not going to make $1 if the price moves $1 an ounce, because any entity such as an LCS or bullion dealer is going to pay you under spot for most silver out there, and you're obviously paying a premium over spot. So that's why I don't like to consider the metal itself, as an investment. But the designs and the types of pieces that are out there, there's a lot of people, and I'm not one of them, by the way, that will take these pieces, the more the rare or the better bullion or the collectible coins out there, and they will try to, and many times succeed in making some money on the popularity of a particular piece. Let's say it's a first in the series, like this particular coin here, or around the Germania. It's a first in a series, and it's a limited mintage, and its price has gone up since its release, and it's starting to do fairly well in the secondary market. We'll see how it does in time, but many times these first in the series tend to do well. And so this could be a risk to take, to purchase some of these and maybe sell them on the secondary market for a profit. That's an investment. So silver can be the catalyst, but it's the design, it's the pieces themselves, whether they be rounds or coins, and the buzz and excitement over them, that people want them for sets as collectors. And really that's where the market is. It's in the collector market. And it's not just these newer coins. It's also classic silver pieces, vintage silver pieces out there, constitutional, coin collecting, numismatics. And it's in the numismatics that you're kind of starting to get into and making some choices and investment potential possibilities. But most of us, obviously, with those older coins, you're paying for that premium out front anyway, and you're taking probably a bigger risk in some of those cases. But there's people here in the community who have been very successful at making money on silver coins, the hot coins that are out there. And so that's a way that silver can be an investment, as a catalyst for an investment. But that's really it, because the metal itself is a hedge, it's a protection, it's an insurance policy. And that's really how it should be held and understood, because if you take the term investment itself, and you, as what people mostly think of it, they're expecting a level of return. And really, you can't expect that with silver as a metal itself. It merely preserves your wealth. It doesn't create it. And it really doesn't have the potential to create it unless it's in the form of a highly collectible piece, such as you see here. And even that is a risk. It very well could be that any of these higher premium pieces could be relegated to the regular, what's known as the junk bin down the road, or be completely forgotten about. There's so many new releases out there. It's much tougher these days to, quote, flip than it was in days gone by or years gone by. So take it for what it's worth. Post your thoughts below. What do you think? Do you think silver can be an investment in this manner of form? What are your thoughts about the metal itself as being merely a hedge or a protection, a savings account? And what do you think about using or the idea of flipping or making money off collectible pieces, as I discussed here? Post your thoughts below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to y'all for watching and encourage you to please rate, comment, and subscribe.